What if the food you've trusted for years is quietly making your joints worse? That slice of toast with jam, the crispy chicken you love on Sundays, even the milk you pour into your coffee. Could these simple things so familiar, so comforting be feeding the very pain you feel in your knees, your hands, your back? I didn't want to believe it either. Until I changed a few habits and started waking up with less pain. In this video, I'll share 5 everyday foods that may be hurting your joints, and 5 gentle swaps that help me move easier, sleep deeper, and feel like myself again. Let's step into the kitchen and maybe into a new chapter of comfort. 1. Refined sugar. For most of my life, sugar was a quiet friend. It sweetened my coffee in the morning. It made birthdays special. It brought comfort on hard days. I never saw it as something that could do harm, especially not to my joints. But things changed. I started waking up with aching hands. My knees felt stiff before I even stood up. At first, I blamed it on getting older. Then I learned what refined sugar might be doing behind the scenes. When we eat a lot of sugar, it triggers inflammation. Chemicals like CRP, Illinois 6, and TNF-alpha rise in the body. These aren't just fancy medical terms, they're messengers of pain. They tell your joints to swell, stiffen, and hold on to discomfort. Sugar also leads to something called age-as-advanced glycation end products. These little compounds sound harmless, but they're not. They harden the soft collagen in our joints, making it harder to move. Over time, that wear and tear breaks down the very tissue meant to cushion our bones. I didn't throw sugar out overnight. That's not how change works. I started with small shifts. I used raw honey instead of white sugar. I sprinkled berries over oatmeal instead of jam on toast. I tried stevia in my tea. My sweet tooth didn't go away, but the swelling in my hands, it started to. Now, I still enjoy sweetness, but I choose it from nature. And I move with more ease because of it. If you're living with sore joints and quiet stiffness, take a look at what you're stirring into your cup. Sometimes, healing starts with just one thoughtful spoonful. 2. Fried foods. There was a time when fried food meant something special in our house. Fried chicken on Sundays, crispy potatoes on holidays. That golden crunch brought people together. It felt like love on a plate. But now, my body remembers those meals differently. After eating fried food, my joints feel heavier. My hands swell. My knees seem slower to bend. What once felt like comfort now feels like a quiet burden. Fried foods are usually cooked in oils with trans fats and saturated fats. These fats don't just stay in your belly, they move through the bloodstream and trigger inflammation. Inside our joints, they help create tiny particles called free radicals. These little troublemakers damage cells and speed up the aging of cartilage. Over time, fried foods also shrink our blood vessels. The highways that carry oxygen and nutrients to our joints become narrow and stiff. With poor circulation, healing slows, inflammation stays longer. Pain becomes familiar. I didn't want to give up the foods I loved, so I learned to cook them differently. I started roasting vegetables with garlic and olive oil. I grilled fish and marinated chicken instead of breading and frying. I got myself an air fryer and, to my surprise, it gave me that same satisfying crunch with just a whisper of oil. Now, I still enjoy the taste, but my hands aren't sore afterward. My joints don't complain as much the next morning. That's a trade I'll gladly make. If fried food has been part of your tradition, I understand. But if your joints are speaking to you, listening. Sometimes, healing sounds like the quiet sizzle of something roasting, not frying. 3. Red meat, beef, pork, lamb. There was a time when a juicy steak or a hearty roast felt like the centerpiece of a good meal. On Sundays, my family gathered around a table filled with laughter and slices of pork or lamb. Back then, red meat meant strength, warmth, tradition. But now I see those meals through a different lens. As I got older, I noticed that after eating a rich cut of beef, my joints would throb a little more. My knees didn't want to bend as easily. My fingers felt tighter. I thought maybe it was just the weather or aging bones, but the more I learned, the more I understood that red meat might be stirring up inflammation from the inside. Certain compounds in red meat, especially when cooked at high heat, can trigger responses in the body that lead to pain. Things like AGs and HCAs may sound scientific, but in simple terms, they act like sparks in dry grass. They can set off little fires of inflammation that spread through your joints. Red meat is also rich in purines. When broken down, purines become uric acid. In high amounts, uric acid can form sharp crystals that lodge in the joints, a painful condition called gout. Even if you don't have full-blown gout, too much uric acid can still irritate your joints quietly, day by day. I haven't given up meat entirely, but I've made some gentle changes. I eat more salmon and sardines. Their healthy fats feel like they soothe my body, rather than inflame it. I've started cooking with lentils and chickpeas, foods that fill me up without weighing me down. And when I do eat chicken, I go for skinless cuts, grilled or baked with herbs. These changes didn't steal joy from my meals, they gave it back. So if your joints ache after dinner, maybe it's not just old age, maybe it's what's on the plate. A softer step might begin with a lighter protein and a little more kindness to the body that's carried you this far. 4. Dairy products, especially those containing A1 casein. For most of my life, a glass of milk was just part of the day. A bit of cheese with crackers in the afternoon, yogurt with fruit in the morning. It all felt wholesome, like fuel for strong bones and steady hands. But over time, I began to notice that after those meals, my joints felt tighter. My hands would swell a little more. My stomach didn't feel quite right. I chalked it up to age at first. But something told me to pay closer attention. Some people, myself included, are sensitive to what's inside dairy. For some, it's lactose. For others, it's the protein called casein, especially the A1 kind found in most milk. In a body already dealing with arthritis or stiffness, these proteins can stir up more inflammation. You don't always feel it right away, but it builds quietly, steadily. Once I made the connection, I tried something different. I poured almond milk into my coffee. I used oat milk for oatmeal. I found an unsweetened soy yogurt that tasted just fine with a little cinnamon and banana. And slowly, I felt the difference. My mornings were lighter. My hands weren't as stiff after breakfast. I didn't feel bloated or tired after a bowl of cereal. I didn't give up comfort. I just traded it for a version that cared for me in return. So if you've been waking up sore or feeling foggy after a meal, try looking at what's in your cup or your bowl. Sometimes relief comes not from giving something up, but from finding a better fit. And sometimes the small change in your fridge leads to a bigger change in how you move through the day. 5. Processed foods. There was a season in my life when opening a box felt easier than cooking from scratch. After a long day, a frozen dinner or canned soup seemed like the best option. It was fast, familiar, and needed no cleanup. But the more I relied on those foods, the heavier my body began to feel, especially in the joints. My hands would swell without warning. My legs felt stiff, even after rest. My blood pressure crept up, and I noticed I didn't sleep as soundly. It took a while to realize the connection wasn't just agate, was what I was putting on my plate. Processed foods often hide more than they show. Extra salt to make them last longer, added sugars for flavor, bad fats to keep textures crisp. These ingredients add up. Too much sodium leads to water retention, which presses on already aching joints. The artificial stuff, it slows your circulation. Without good blood flow, healing takes longer. When I finally paused to look closely, I decided to try a different way. I roasted vegetables on Sunday: carrots, squash, and bell peppers. I cooked brown rice and stored it in the fridge. I simmered lentils with herbs and olive oil. It didn't take much, just some planning. And suddenly, I had food that felt like it gave back, not took away. For snacks, I replaced crackers with almonds, chips with sliced apples. I even found that a spoonful of hummus or peanut butter did more for my energy than any protein bar I'd tried before. My joints thanked me in quiet ways. Less swelling, more ease, the kind of comfort that lingers beyond the meal. If you've been leaning on boxes because life feels too full, I understand. But your body is asking for something simpler, something kinder. And maybe healing begins not with a big change, but with what you put in your cart this week. Closing. So there you have it. 5 simple foods that might be making your joints ache more than they need to, and 5 gentle swaps that help me find a little more peace in my own body. This journey isn't about being perfect, it's about paying attention. About choosing meals that give back, instead of taking more from you. Maybe your next step is switching milk. Maybe it's roasting vegetables instead of opening a box. Whatever it is, start small and stay kind to yourself along the way. If this video helped you in any way, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, share your story, or pass this along to someone you care about. And don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that little bell. There's more to explore, and I'd be honored to walk with you on this path to better living. Until next time, take care of those joints. They've carried you far and they still have places to go.